and I are kind of similar. You may even be more good-hearted than me. I feel like you. Well,
but in our longing hearts, we're all the same.
Mutual respect and
Yes.
a boundary might have been crossed that you, right? So just an example of, it is a great example. I appreciate that for giving me the example to even work with.
Let's be the change we want to see.
I've never seen difference as negative. I've always been attracted to and intrigued by it. But we're looking for, how are we similar? How are we the same? How can we all just get along?
We are links in a chain.
Hey.
What up? What's poppin'? What's good?
It's Dr. Lynn.
And it's Justin.
And this is Working It Out Across Generations. We are so happy that you have joined us today on the show that talks all things conflict, big and small. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Sure.
We share all kinds of ways that you may be able to engage in, approach conflict, even think about conflict. And then, of course, ways that you can work it out. So before we talk about this week's topic, we want to tell you some exciting news that we've been talking about in all of our episodes, and that is that Justin and I are going to be doing a parent workshop for those of you who are parents or caregivers or caretakers and nurturers of children, particularly tweens and teens. You're going to want to join us for this.
For sure.
Especially if there's tension between you, if it just seems like you can't talk to them about anything without somehow it exploding, or maybe they're shutting down. If it seems like you don't know how to get them to keep an open mind about the things that you are in conflict about, or if you're having trouble actually keeping an open mind, then this is the workshop for you. So we want you to use the QR code or go to the link, and we want to see you there. But now, Justin, what we're talking about today?
Yeah, today's an interesting one. They're all interesting. I know that. I say it all the time, but I really think this one is timeless as to why it's interesting, right? We're talking about losing, right? Are you bad at losing? Are you good at losing? What's your mindset around it? I think this really stemmed from, really for me personally, seeing the interaction between UConn's head coach, Gino, I forgot his last name, of the women's college basketball team at UConn, against Dawn Staley. They had some words after Dawn and I think it's South Carolina that she coaches, yes, had beat them and eliminated them from the tournament, the March Madness tournament, and Gino was not happy. Gino had some words. Gino definitely struggled with the fact that, they took that loss. And this is a guy who's, they're both very well accomplished in their sports, very well accomplished in their roles in their sports as coaches. And it was just really, really interesting to see on one of the biggest stages, especially for these kids' lives, the main authority that they report to have some words, right? And really, really go at it for a second. And since then, there's been an apology and, all that stuff.
From him, because he came for her.
Yeah, there's been an apology and all that stuff, which is good. But it really got me thinking about, just how do people feel about losing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of weight behind that word loss and to lose. And so I think we just want to talk a little about what that weight really looks like, where that mindset comes from, and then just ways to combat it. Because I think this is one of the words or the things where, feeling and reality can get very misconstrued, right? And so really excited to be here talking about it with all of you, and let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, and even just mindset around it, because one of the things when we first started talking about this that I was saying is that how many people equate losing with being a loser.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a very heavy thing to train yourself to think about yourself. And it doesn't just I think it doesn't just come from our own thoughts. It comes from messages, very clear, strong messages in society that say that you are a loser when you lose a game, whether it's a video game, whether it's a sports game, whether it's at pro level, whether it's at pee-wee level. It is, I think there's just a tremendous amount of pressure put on an attachment to losing and being a loser. And it's an interesting thing because losing presents so many opportunities for learning, for growing, for just even learning how to be in relationship with other people,
for sure.
for a good sportsmanship, whether you're in a sporting activity or not, just learning how to lose graciously is a huge thing. And I mean, as a society, that was one thing, right? That game and the coaches. But as a society, we are in a place where people are shooting up shooting up
for sure.
games, sports games, and just really taking things so personally that they're doing physical harm. I mean, look, people are throwing, what are those, controllers? I don't play video games, y'all, but throwing controllers across the room and just like...
All right, it get like that sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not advocating for it. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, if you really understand, you know it get like that sometimes. We don't regulate,
I'm
but
sure
it get like that
does
sometimes.
because I have heard so many people talk about how many controllers they've had to buy
my God,
because they get so caught up in it.
I had a bad year with that last year. I had a bad year. Yeah.
Well, thank you for honoring
I had
that
to buy me
admission.
about 5 controllers in a span of like 3 months, dude. It was
But
too
this
stupid,
is huge.
bro.
Clearly, this
Yeah,
is
it was
huge. 'Cause
stupid.
you're an adult, and you are not the only adult that
Busting
is
my
going to make that
controller. Yeah, bro,
confession.
for sure.
And it was startling to me when you all were younger, and you all would throw the doggone
Yeah.
things. But that carries on. I'm not saying that you think of yourself as a loser when
for sure.
you do that.
For sure.
I'm just saying I think that it is related, though, to the attachment that we have to making people feel like they are a loser, as opposed to someone who just actually engaged in an activity, right? They took that step and they didn't win this time. You didn't win this time.
For sure.
Isn't that what this is all about? Right. So anyway, I think it's just a really interesting topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, losing. Yeah, I mean, gotta be honest and real about our own experiences and stuff, right? I think that's what keeps this show fresh and real and fun. And I can definitely admit that. But I think losing, for sure. I think losing is just a natural part of life that we don't honor in the right way. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows they're going to lose in a game. Everyone knows they're going to lose in life, whether that's a job, a relationship, whatever it is, an opportunity, whatever it is. And I think people are fine with that. It's really just like how you go about it, right? And so, really developing those healthy habits and taking those actions to, like you said, lose more graciously, right? To develop more of that sportsmanship, even if it's not in a sport, right?
Right.
I think that's really, really important because you're absolutely right. It's not just at these sporting events or like whatever, right? Think of even the parents that you'll see sometimes
gosh.
at these sporting events.
We've got to do better, y'all.
Oh my God. Like, it's actually gotten outrageous, some of the things that we've seen happen, unfortunately, with parents that are in the stands. And it's not even the kids that are on the ice or on the court or whatever that are having that much conflict, right? And so, you're right. It could be just playing dominoes, like, with your family,
in the
like
school gym, and
anything.
and it's like, oh, you're a loser, or you're losers because you didn't win, as I said, that time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's the part where it's like we're going about it wrong. You know what I mean? And it's not that you can't talk trash. It's not that you can't be competitive. That's not what we're saying, right? It's just that there's ways to do it, right? As every conversation, there's just ways to go about it. And so here we just want to explore a little bit about what are some of those ways?
So you don't think
you can go
trash
about
talk adds to it?
yeah, it's definitely fuel to the fire, but I mean, it's up to you to how you respond. You know what I mean?
I think that it's been such a, if I think about my generation, right? Now, my dad played basketball and he played out in the parks or whatever. And I learned from watching him play that trash talk was just a part of the game.
100%.
That's
100%.
how it is. And in fact, I can remember when you were younger and you had your first taste of it because you used to go play ball. Your brother's older and you would go out.
I was an
with
older
him,
kid. Yeah,
right?
I was an older kid.
And
that was
you
crazy.
got your first taste of it and it really hurt your feelings. And then we had this conversation and I said, hey, if you're going to go out there and play, you got to understand that that's just a part of the game. Doesn't make you a loser. It just means that you got to learn how to do that part. And I remember your reaction and you said, Mom, thank you for that. Thank you for teaching me that part of the game. And I think that it can make it worse, but the only reason I think that it can make it worse is because we have this this idea that people are losers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole idea in itself is troubling for me, that we actually think that there are losers in life. If you are here, you are living, breathing, and you getting up every day,
100%.
you're already winning.
100%.
You are not a loser. You are still trying. You are in there trying. And I don't know when a try became such a bad thing, but I do know that there are a lot of adults that fuel that thinking for young people. When I was coming up, I never, ever heard anyone equate losing with being a loser.
Wow.
I've never, ever heard that.
That's a beautiful existence. That is a
never,
beautiful
ever heard
existence.
that. I was never called a loser. I don't remember people calling other people losers. That was not what it was about. I think people prepared us to be in competitions and that somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. Like, that was a big thing. Like, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And then you get back. The next time you come back and you try to come back stronger and you can win. And that was the thing. So I'm really saddened by the fact that this it's exploded, I think, into this whole bigger thing. I've actually seen kids when you all were growing up calling each other losers and then calling whole groups of kids on a team losers, kids who refuse to shake somebody's hand at the end of
that
the
happens
right?
a lot. That happens a lot.
I think that for why? For what? This, to me, as a society, I think that this is really problematic.
For sure. Was losing ever difficult for you? Were you good at it? Were you always able to be a good sport? Or like, what was that like? Because you're right.
Really good.
I couldn't handle it
question.
at first.
Yeah.
At first, I was just like, no, I don't like this. And I granted, you're right. I was with older kids like majority of the time in my life.
It was harder for you. I always tried to say, but you're younger. You're so much smaller. But that didn't matter to you. It's like you really couldn't understand why you couldn't win as much, right? But you were like with kids who were 6 and 7 years older than you. So it was a really difficult mission for you. But I admire that you really thought there should be no reason that you shouldn't be
100%.
winning all the time, right?
100%.
So, but for me, I mean, it wasn't a good feeling, but it wasn't the end of the world ever. Not ever. It was just like, okay, well then the next game we'll win. I mean, I'd never played anything competitive in school, but we used to go on, family gatherings and we'd go play. We used to play punch ball. I know nobody plays punch ball anymore now, but I used to love that. And we played softball and I can remember that. Okay, we didn't win this time. It was really that simple for me. There were lots of things I agonized about as a child, but being a loser was never one, and losing a game was never, or losing a spot. I used to audition a lot, so losing a spot or not getting a part, I never equated that with being less than.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I hated losing growing up. I'm a younger sibling. Shout out all my younger siblings, right? Yeah, my brother's literally 6 years older than me. So I think, video games, many a times I came into my parents' room. What the hell is going on? He's beating me and he's laughing at me about it. This is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And that absolutely translated into, playing ball and, all that stuff in the park growing up. And so, I think for me, I'm so grateful just in my early experiences of, having it happen that way, right? Having an older sibling, having, honestly, like even some of the guys in the neighborhood, right, that were kind of like big bros for a certain period of time and stuff. I always got like both, right? So it would be let's say I lost, right? Yeah, there'd be some trash talk. Yeah, there'd be whatever. But I always got dapped up after, always got told what I did well, always, especially because I was younger, right? So they were really like, this looks good, helping me get better. So it was a very, I think, clear line, even though, of course, at times, things get heated and things get whatever, right? But that was a very clear line between like criticism and then like bullying or like taking it past the sport. Right. You know what I mean? That's my thing. Like, keep it at the sport. And so, yeah, losing was difficult for me growing up. I also was in a very, I think, just accelerated kind of school growing up, right? Athletically and academically. So kids were competing all the time, and so the idea of being associated with being a loser was something that no one wanted and something that no one wanted to their name. And they'd rather be the one calling you a loser than be the loser. Right. So even if they are a loser, and that's like, that's what we're debating right now. But then
just
they're the
taking
ones,
the loss, right?
Yes, they're the ones that are doing too much with that. So I think I unfortunately and fortunately, to get real for a second, I think I've gone through a lot of loss on the front end of my life. So I don't think I'm bad at it. I think I'm versed. I think I'm like comfortable. You know what I mean? Like we've had losses in the family that started very early in my life and in my brother's life and my cousin's life. And I think all of those things compiled, they definitely suck and hurt in the moment. You're definitely gonna have a moment where you're taking it on personally, right? Where it's not a matter of circumstance. It's you're making it about character, right? And that's gonna happen, but it's all about how you respond, all about how you check yourself in those moments. And I feel like growing up, I didn't exactly exercise those skills as much as I should have. And then I don't know, out of nowhere, I was just like, dude, we can't be feeling like this. Like, we can't be telling ourselves this, right? We have to be careful of the way we talk to ourselves, all of those things. And I really just started to lock in on that. And it became, the line became much clearer for me between, reality and then just that's how I'm feeling, right? And so when you really think about it, right, it sometimes you got to go back to that place of, I'm waking up. I got a roof over my head. I got food on the table. I got people that love me. I got, all these different things. And that even if it's tough, it's that, a win is going to come, right? It's not going to be forever. And so I think I did a lot of work intentionally to get to that point. But
do you think
easy.
As a society, though, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. It's not easy. I'm just saying it's not easy.
I think of it as a society, though, that society is promoting more the idea that losing at something makes you a loser.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
okay.
I would say, going into generational takes, I'd say that's a big thing in my generation. As far as social media, excuse me, and and then the actual content that's being put out, right? It's not just the fact that that's a hub for opportunity to see that someone might be in a better position than you or have a nicer car, whatever it is, right? But it's the actual content that people are engaging with and all that stuff, which is a lot of self-help kind of stuff, which is a big industry. There's a lot of money in the self-help industry. I didn't even realize how much, but I think those messages 100% because they're not promoting the balance of it. They're promoting if you don't do these things either by this time if you're this gender and you don't move this way or
Right.
whatever it is, right? That's not the norm.
Right.
Then they're saying essentially, you know, like screw you, you're less than,
You're
you're
a
this,
loser,
you're like
yeah.
you're not worth my investment of time or energy, right? And I think that's just so. I think it's ridiculous, but I also think it's just such a watering of the wrong seed. Like
Yes.
you're encouraging discouragement. You're encouraging being disconnected from people.
Yeah.
You're encouraging all of those things that keep us farther apart rather
Yep.
than bring us closer together.
That's right.
And I feel like those are the things in my generation that, as far as content, can make things very tough for a kid to identify when things are really what that is and like where you really got to work on that compared to no, that's just how you feel. And your
Yeah.
feelings are real. I want to own that,
Right.
right? But it's different from reality.
Yeah.
So I think my generation for sure we're struggling with that.
Yeah, and I think that then we go to the other way, right? Is that we don't help if when kids struggle with the feelings,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
We don't help that. So then what we're doing is we give participation awards. Right? I mean, I'm sorry to laugh, but everybody doesn't need a participation award.
That's true.
Participation is its own reward, right? And then there are competitive things. There are things where we can be competitive, and there are things where we can be collaborative. And even in collaborative spaces, there are kids who may not be at the same pace or at the same level as other kids that then are made to feel like they are losers rather than to help them and help the entire group really to work out each other's strengths and where we can work together. So I think that I've seen that more and more. We didn't really do a lot of collaborative stuff when I was growing up. It was very competitive, but it really was not what we're seeing now, in that this is a real promoting of who are winners, who are losers, and then people that are losing really shouldn't sit with those feelings because we want to make sure that everybody gets something for just showing up.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't fix it.
Yeah, and they'll try to build an archetype of, you know, human that, you know, fits all of the ways of being a winner or whatever it is, like, and then whatever fits the loser type, right?
Yeah.
So I just think, you know, there's no one size fit all approach as far as, you know, I guess how we deal with our losses,
Right.
But as far as being a good sport, you know what I mean? You know, letting people feel encouraged in the stages of their lives that they're in, things like that. I think those are messages that 100% should be spread more often. And just what do you think about your generation and losing? Because we've even seen like politicians get like sad and like go on
irate,
go on damn near a press tour
yeah.
talking about, you know, I should have won this or whatever, and
they cheated.
They cheated.
Now that
Ridiculous.
you did hear in my generation
sure.
is
Yeah.
like they cheated or they're cheaters, and they might have been right sometimes about the people they were talking about.
Yeah.
But I actually think in my generation, we're not the ones running on the court, or we're not the ones that are necessarily losing it, although there are some who you see in politics. I do think that they're at least about 10 years younger than me that we're seeing. But I mean, we used to see the parents when you all were coming up that would just, you know, that would run at the ref or the coach to argue, debate, or this is why my child, you know, this is why we lost because you didn't put my child in, or those kinds of things. I do think that somewhere along the line, there's a definite shift to making winning everything for people.
For sure. And losing is just it's a yin and yang. It's a part of life.
Yes.
Like, you can't avoid losing, right?
If you can't learn how to lose, you're
screwed.
You are having a more difficult life
screwed.
than you have to have.
You're screwed.
Because it is all a part of things. There is nobody who wins at everything. Although I know there are people that are extremely good at some things, and then they tend to place themselves in those things so that they're always winning, or it certainly seems like they always do.
Yeah.
Right? And so that makes it harder, as you said, with with social media. You're always seeing them.
Yep.
And listen, social media is such a trap because I've seen so many people who want to present that winning life, and it takes them about an hour to take one good photo that they would put on social media
for
because
sure.
they want to present that they are doing so much better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the problem that I have with it. It's not that I'm doing well, it's that I'm doing better than you, which makes me a winner and you a loser. That is problematic once again.
100%. And I honestly like worry for the people as far as like their mental health and stuff like that. Because I've always been big on mental health. I've always been big on my losses. And, you know, in some areas, in some ways, I definitely lead with that first. Because it's the fact that I'm still here, the fact that I got through those things, the fact that I, mentally trained myself to, see another day, even when, losses come. That's the thing I want to celebrate. So I think that's why I lead with that sometimes. But however, I feel for the people who, maybe life set them up to win on the front end of their lives, right? And they win a lot in the front end of their lives. And so much so, they could go up to their 40s or something like that. And they experience their first big loss.
Real big one,
And I'm telling you, as far as their mental, I mean, those are the people, trigger warning, that are killing themselves, right? It's and at least some of the people, right? And so, how do we work with those people to make sure they don't get to that point? What are we putting out there in society to make sure that people feel confident, like I said, at all stages of their life? We all got things to work on. We all got things that we're gonna lose, right? Unfortunately, that comes in all ways, games, people, whatever it is, right? And so it's just, how do we get better at that so that, we're not just destroying our world, but destroying the world that, we live in and love, and, the people that make it up as well.
Well, I think you brought this piece up about mental health, and that's where I see it too. People thinking that either they are a loser because they have the mental health issue that they want to deal with, or people calling them loser because they admit, oh, I went to therapy, or I actually had a breakdown, fell apart, had to take time away. That becomes an opportunity for other people to then categorize them as less than.
And I'm trying not to categorize, but if you're one of those people that tries to make people think they're like different, I mean, I'm not gonna call you a loser, but I am gonna call you a weirdo. Like, that's a weird thing to put out. Like, you're a loser for having gone through something and felt the emotions and the weight of whatever it is, and like, you're a loser for possibly being a little bit different after going through some sort of life. You're not the same kind of fun, maybe, or whatever it is, right? People grow, people change, and I think that in every part of their lives and in every stage of their lives, they deserve love, they deserve respect, they deserve
a second chance, a third chance,
and they deserve to be celebrated. Like, we need to be celebrating people more, even outside of their birthdays, outside of their accomplishments that are more, maybe on a calendar, like a birth, like a, what's it called? I don't know, not on the calendar, but like a job promotion or something like that, right? Like, that's sick. But like, even sometimes it's like, bro, thanks for like, good job waking up today. Like, good job hitting the gym. Good job, eating right today. Whatever it is, like, when people express these things to you, it's really an opportunity for connectivity, I think, a lot more times than bragging. And so for the people who are using those opportunities to brag and not connect, that's who I'm talking to. I think that's weird behavior, but definitely for you to figure out. We're a conflict show, right? There's conflict there for you if you're that person putting those messages out there around your mindset with losing, right? And so just explore it, because I don't think that's a seed that you want to water.
Right. Yeah. But what do you want to water? Let's
talk
get
about
into it.
just some signs that indicate that you have a healthy relationship with losing, a healthy mindset around losing. And I think the first one that I came up with was sportsmanship matters to you, right? The fact that you're able to shake hands with someone after a loss, or the fact that you're able to say, but I can live another day, or I live to see another day, right? And really just be grateful for that. I think, not everybody can do that. I think it's definitely easier said than done, but especially, going back to the sports thing, or even just like, were just playing in, cards or something like that, whatever it is.
Gosh.
Cards will get like that.
Oh my God.
Even with no gambling, cards will get like that.
That's something I forgot about growing
cards
up.
will get like that.
They'll
No gambling
they'll try
around.
to make you feel like a loser.
For sure.
Play some spades with some folks, so big whist, good Lord.
For sure. So you slam the table and
Yeah,
slap that
yeah,
card
yeah,
down, you don't
that's
feel
true.
something. But I think that, being that model, right, of someone who can even feel like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have lost that. Like what, like to still push through and express that sportsmanship, I think is so important, especially when other people are around, because you don't know all the time, like who needs to see you model that for them. You know what I mean? You don't know who's struggling with this, and you don't know who, what models people look like in their lives and stuff like that. So just being that and, being in that state of being, I think does a lot for creating momentum, to create healthy role models.
Yeah. I also think that you've got to look at, well, did you do your best, right? Because even when you do your best, it doesn't mean that you're still going to win. But did you really try? And if you didn't, a healthy mindset still can allow you to shake hands at the, hey, they did great. Or maybe they didn't do great, but somehow or other they won anyway, right? But if you did your best, that helps. And if you didn't, to be able to own that without beating yourself up, I think it's really incredible. And I think that that's the kind of mindset that you're going for, that I can assess what I did and I can congratulate you on,
100%.
on your win.
100%. Heavy on the congratulate, and meaning it, not
Yeah.
just saying it, right? Next, I would say losses are opportunities to learn. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone likes to lose. I hate losing, even to this day. All the things that I've learned from it, right? But I mean, there's just been so much time that I've been able to spend with myself, after a loss, right? In my head and in my heart and whatever. And, there's definitely been times where it's been very, very tough, and I felt like those losses were reality and were a part of my character. And, I think that everyone goes through that at some point, and honestly has to go through that at some point. But, I wanted to be one of the people that is, different from those that honestly struggle more, I guess,
Right.
to get out of that losing headspace, right? I wanted to work with it to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't want to make that a part of culture for me. And so I think, it's a mindset that anyone can achieve. Again, another easier said than done. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, in the mirror. It takes a lot of time, with your own thoughts, maybe some sleepless nights, all those things when things are tough. But I think if you go through it, you continue to, like I said, see those opportunities for learning, then, it'll just shift your mindset over time, 100%. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe it all the time, even just getting the reps in, saying to yourself, like, this is just how I feel. It's not the reality in this situation, right? Or, this sucks right now, but I'm gonna get through it. Just day at a time, whatever it is. Over time, your brain will start to believe it.
Yeah, I think that any loss is an opportunity
For sure.
for really to look at yourself and see what can I do better, right? Or how do I, feel this and move through it, because I did everything I could, right? I did my best here, and that's just how it is. It is so skewed, off center. I think that we have gotten about this
Yeah.
a major part of life.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is wrecking people's lives.
Yeah.
The way that they think about it and the way that others try to make them think about it.
This is literally what people are talking about when they say the yin and yang of life. Like you're gonna,
Right,
like
exactly.
it literally is what
Win
we're
and
talking about.
lose,
It's gonna
right?
be good or tough. It's gonna be, you're gonna win or you're gonna lose. It's just gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So let it happen. Let life happen. And lastly, I would say, the sign of a healthy mindset around losing, just you're able to feel the loss and then get back to work, right? It's exactly what I just said, right? I think it definitely takes more time than others, and definitely depending on the circumstance, to be able to snap yourself out of that down mindset, those negative feelings and whatever. We don't want to stay in that place too long, but exactly that, we don't want to stay in that place too long, right? We still got stuff to do, we still got people to love, we still got things to look forward to, right? And wins that are coming, more losses coming, but we also have more wins coming. And so I think, like I say all the time, balance is everything. When you're able to let yourself feel what it is, I think that's just a great way to remember that you're human. You're gonna have days where it's not gonna look pretty, and then it just gives you the motivation, hopefully, to just attack that plate a little bit easier. It's all about just approaching the plate a little bit easier. I think that's my point.
And start young. Start working with your kids young, because they're growing up in a world that really does have 100%. An unhealthy mindset around losing.
100%.
And it is going to be really tough for them later on in life. Even as tweens and teens, it's just going to be tougher if they haven't had any type of conversations with you about how to lose, right? And what losing is about.
For sure. In
society, in life, not society, because society, like I said, has screwed it all up. But in life, like this is a part of it. So find ways to help early on. And if you're a full-grown adult and you just have a tantrum and losing, then seek help. I'm just gonna straight up say, seek help. Because it is not something that you should be doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Seek help. All right, so 3 ways that you can develop a healthy mindset about losing, since we're talking about seeking help, right? That's one. Right. Assess the reality of the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not life or death. We make so many things life or death. Yeah. And hey, I am not trying to diminish what seems to you as life or death, because some things are. Some things really are, but losing something, right? I didn't get that scholarship. I didn't get that place that I wanted to get in the class, or whatever. We didn't get the championship. That ain't life or death. It truly isn't. And so trying to really get yourself get a grip around reality about that is an important way to develop a healthy mindset.
Yeah, get a grip. I like it. Get a grip. It's not life or death all the time, right? And spending that time with yourself is so important. Sometimes you even have to do it in the moment of whatever it is that's going on. Maybe it's a conversation, or maybe whatever it is. So just really, really take that one serious. That's what I would say.
Yeah. The second thing is tell yourself that it's all part of the game of life. It's all part of it. It is. Right? Because how do you really appreciate a win if you've never experienced losing?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? What you're basically doing is going off of what the world is telling you is this incredible thing, which is to be the winner, to always win. But really, if you're experiencing life, you're taking a lot of losses. And so you might as well get good at being able to do that, because that is going to take you to the wins.
Yeah, 100%. Losing sucks, but it's a part of life. It's literally what it is. So all you can do is at least try to get better at it. Right? So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And then the third thing is, listen, people are going to call you loser. That's on them. That's 100%. Their mindset.
100%.
You have to be able to say to yourself, because I lost at something does not make me a loser, right? These are the things that make me someone who is, I mean, you don't even have to go to a winner, but if you need to really list off the things that make you a winner, then do that. But really, to be able to appreciate and love who you are helps you to stave off these comments where people will. I have seen people stand up in other kids' faces and call them a loser, right? That's on you to accept that about yourself or to reject it. And we say, reject it.
100% reject it. We have a lot of, speaking of reject, have a lot of projectors out there in the world who are dealing with a lot of things and don't have healthy outlets to deal with it. And so they'll take that out on you, no problem, right? And so it's really up to you, like you said, 100%, to stay grounded in your skills, stay grounded in your truth, stay grounded in what you know, and keep it moving. Keep it moving. That's not something that needs your energy.
That's right. Well, I like this.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I hate losing. I do.
I think you made that clear.
I hate losing.
Like I said, I don't particularly like it, but it really doesn't bring up strong emotions in me like that. But
sure.
I understand why it would in you, because as I said, in my generation, it just wasn't like that.
Yeah, but shout out my bro
intensity.
for kicking my ass in these video games all the time when I was growing up, because I think that's just, I'm very grateful having an older sibling, who's helped me out with a lot of that stuff and exposed me to a lot of situations where, I've been able to work on by losing. So really, really good stuff. Guys, you know what we say. Every like, every follow, every subscription, every comment, every piece of engagement truly means the world.
Yes.
Small is all. We are building to something bigger than ourselves. And you guys get to help us do that. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to check us out on TV, on your television, watch us on your television, you can check us out on Amazon Fire TV, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Roku, YouTube, and we're actually going to be putting our audio services out on Spotify coming up soon. So you guys can check us out there for audio pretty soon. If you can't put us on your TV, all good, no worries. Like I said, every piece of engagement just truly means the world.
Yes, and you know what we say. Conflict is here to teach you something about yourself. So go out there and find out what it is. I'm Dr. Lynn.
I'm Justin.
And this is Working It Out Across Generations. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next week.